big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity with me, Sonali Krishna, the only show that gives you a real peep into the glamorous world of brands, business strategy, marketing, and everything in between. Today in focus is the Publicis Groupe in India. Over the last few months, we've seen a lot of changes on ground, whether it be within the advertising landscape, client behavior, client sentiment, or for that matter, consumer behavior, consumer sentiment. Today, I'm going to be in conversation with Anupriya Acharya, who was made the CEO of the Publicis Groupe in India in December 2019. She took over that ship, during a period that was not so pleasant for the group. Plus, over the last few months, we've been hit by a pandemic, and subsequent lockdowns have created a massive dent across businesses. Of course, the advertising business is no exception. Anupriya, very good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Sonali. It's definitely very exciting.
I just want to flash back a little bit, in the pre-COVID to the pre-COVID era, before I, jump into what's happening right now and how we've been facing the last 6 months. But just to go back to December 2019, when you took over as, the group CEO, for you, unfortunately, it's not been smooth, because when you took over the group, there were so many things happening, and, you had to really clean up your organization, streamline it, give it renewed focus and energy. Can you take me back to that time? And we've also seen a few exits within the group. Can you give me your sense of what you've managed to do, since you've taken over, to ensure that the group at large in India comes back on track, gets more energy and vigor, and is going strong with your new vision?
So yes, Sonali, I took on this role in December, and this is essentially an extension of our country model, which the group moved over into globally, and it has been rolled out market by market. And some of the other markets, in fact, moved much earlier, over a period of, almost 12 to 18 months before India. India, in fact, was one of the later markets to really move into this country model. And just to take a little step back, as you might be aware, that we had moved into a solutions model 2-3 years back, which was, again, largely to bring in continuity to the eventual country model that we were going to move into. So in this, basically, the whole journey for us as a structure has been to with the client in the center, frankly. Okay, if you look at the larger context, there is a lot of specialization. There are a lot of newer services that are requiring attention from a client's end within the marketing advertising gamut as well. And so we've seen like clients are having to deal with multiple shops, right from like creative to media, which have been classic, but also within digital, we see there are multiple offerings. So you have a SEO agency, you have performance marketing, you have, tech agencies, you have, the works, and you have ad tech agencies and so on and so forth. And so for the clients, it's becoming very tough to deal with this whole ecosystem when we are talking about agencies and, the whole purpose of moving into first the solution model and then to the country model is essentially to simplify our services for the clients and to be able to provide them all in one integrated services. So in this model, what happens is that through our various agencies and the services that we have, we are able to provide specialist services as required. But if the client requirement is such that they want to work across the group with multiple service lines, then we are able to provide that very seamlessly. And it largely depends again on the client, what model suits him the best. So that is done pretty much in discussion with the client.
Let's come to the last 6 months or so, where we've all been battling COVID. How have you looked at advertiser sentiment? Of course, it was muted in the beginning, but are you seeing some kind of coming back to life with 6 months down? Some amount of course, demand is still a bit latent, but we're seeing some pickup. How are you looking at this festive season? So some sense of how this advertising landscape is looking, consumer sentiment, and of course also client sentiment.
So clearly we saw a very, very sharp decline in April, which pretty much continued in May as well. Barring what was largely there was, of course, a lot of categories, as I said, were I wouldn't say positively impacted, but definitely were required, like the essentials and food and all of that. Health, hygiene, cleaning, a lot of, do-it-yourself kind. But in June, we clearly started seeing green shoots. I think, and that's true across the sector. I mean, there are certain categories which have had a full meltdown, so we can keep them aside for some time, maybe like the travel, tourism, hospitality, and all of that, right? But in other pockets, we've seen clear green shoots. And in fact, in some quarters, June was, I think, better than June last year. But that time we were again like looking at is maybe it's just a pent up demand and, just let's see how it moves on. So July was, I thought, a bit sort of continued on the same, nothing spectacular, but definitely April and May was behind us. So every month has become a little better. But I must say that August suddenly has gone up quite tremendously. And I think in a rundown now to the festive season and now with IPL around and, key properties around, we are clearly seeing a huge resurgence, on the demand side from advertisers, clients, because clearly consumers are out there buying. A lot of online buying is happening, and also see that nobody wants to miss this window of opportunity. So possibly it is also still just to be good for the lost time of this year. The interesting part for us will be, Sonali, to see and watch carefully how does it look after the festive season is over.
Would you say, obviously, I would assume for the industry at large, 2021 will see a severe contraction, just as individual companies will also see contraction. What are your estimates or guesstimates in terms of what type of contraction the industry will see at the end of this year?
So at an overall level, I think the contraction will be anywhere between maybe 12 to 15%.
Okay.
And depending again, see, this is at an overall level.
Yeah.
Again, as I said, sector by sector, it will be very different. Like in some cases, they might land up a little higher as well from last year, depending on if those spaces have seen a huge traction. It could be flat in some cases, but of course, a huge decline. So at an average, definitely 12 to 15% at an overall level.
Before you go, I just want to get your perspective, and I'm changing gears now to you being the AAAI of I president. Happy to see a fresh blood, new guard. Otherwise we were kind of bored seeing the same old people. Having said that, what is your vision for the AAAs of I? How different, how relevant, and how refreshing are you going to make it for the industry? Because this is a good opportunity to actually shake up things.
So basically, in terms of even age, for example, getting more younger people to be involved with that. The other thing that we had embarked on was the embracing of the digital agencies, because it's becoming a large part of the market. And if you don't sort of get them, embrace them, and they don't embrace us, then, AAAI will become redundant over a period of time. So we made a huge movement on that. And as you would be aware, starting November last year, we've opened up AAAI for digital agency membership as well. So some part of it will be building on that, but I'm also very mindful, Sonali, that I've taken on this position at a time which is one of the most difficult times for the world and the economy, our industry. We spoke about it, and businesses have been severely impacted, and that's true for, I'm pretty sure, the agencies as well, because it's not only the key networks that form that association. That association is, we have members in each, all over India. So I think one of the themes will surely be the return to the next normal. And hence, as an industry body, how are we able to serve that cause? And how are we able to help our members in these challenging times? And then beyond that, also partnering with all the other industry bodies, which are adjacent, and we work very closely with them, be it the IDF and the INS and all of that. And, so how we can all sort of, grapple with these times and make a more, mindful and a better preparation for the next normal for all our members. So that's what I will be looking at.
Sure. Last question before I let you go. In India, the Publicis Groupe, while in its media avatar has always been strong. If you look at its creative offering, apart from Leo Burnett, which is, but if you look at overall its creative offering, there has been a somewhat dip in stature in terms of, how it's creatively perceived. I think a task ahead for you would be to rejuvenate all your creative brands and make them a creative force to reckon with. What are you doing to ensure that as a group, Publicis, when stacked against the likes of WPP, IPG, comes up as an equal force across all offerings? And B, what are you specifically doing in the creative space to ensure that, you are also looked at as a creative force?
Firstly, I think one of the key changes in the mindset that we have undergone and are undergoing is that our competition has changed. It is not necessarily only the networks that we keep talking about.
That's true.
Right? So we have competition from consultancies which are getting into the agency thing. We have frenemies in large platforms, digital platforms, which can pretty much do away with the agency and all of that. Coming on to the creative agency, especially that you're talking about, I have had a lot of conversations with the clients in the last many months. Like, I've been busy meeting, and in a COVID world, it has become easier because people are traveling lesser, so they have more time to meet you, right? And I've asked all my clients more questions on creative agency rather than media, because obviously this is an area that I wanted to quickly come up to speed on. And it's interesting to hear, their feedback and some of the nuggets that they have given me, across client sets, is that they believe that a large part of the creative agencies have bit by bit sort of two things, surely, which was very consistent, are focusing more on this big idea on television and all of that. And actually, if you take a step back, you will miss the bus if you are going to leave all of that, expansion to the digital channels, to digital agencies. And that, what I understood clearly, and what I can grasp as well, if I was to look at the market around, is an area definitely, not only ours, but everybody needs to do that. And there's a lot of work which is happening in that area. So we're training our people on platforms and all of that, because eventually actually clients want integrated service. It's very tough for them to deal with, a big idea here and then the expansion on the platform somewhere else and all of that. So that's clearly one thing coming out from the marketeers.
Fair enough, fair enough. Very interesting insights there, Anupriya. On that note, let me wish you all the very best for your endeavor, of course, as the premier at Publicis India, and of course, as now at the helm of AAAI as well. Hopefully, we'll get over this environment soon and be able to meet in the physical realm. As I don't think virtual is great, but nothing to beat the physical touch and feel and intimacy when you have a conversation. So all the very best. Here's more power to you, and of course, be safe.
Thank you very much, Sonali. Lovely chatting you, and all the best to you as well.
And with that, we're completely out of time. We hope you enjoyed the show. To take the time and drop us a line and brand equity at etnow.tv, or alternatively, you can log on to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/brand equity, and tell us what you thought of the show. You could also tweet to us at Brand Equity Live. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, be safe. Big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity with me, Sonali Krishna, the only show that gives you a real peep into the glamorous world of brands, business strategy, marketing, and everything in between. Now, recently, IDFC FIRST Bank came up with its social first campaign called the League of Seven. It's a series of 23 video blogs anchored by the ace commentator Harsha Bogle, which started with IPL 2020 and an objective to get people to join the League of Seven and enjoy the best in category interest rates on their savings account, which of course is at 7%, much higher than any other bank is offering currently. Well, what's the big hullabaloo about, and what is IDFC offering in terms of a service and a product offering that others aren't. I'm joined by Shreepad Shende, their Chief Marketing Officer, to take us through just that. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shreepad. Truly a pleasure having you on Brand Equity. First things first, I want you to take me through the brand positioning journey of IDFC FIRST Bank and the philosophy that you have decided to push through with in the last few months.
The brand positioning for IDFC FIRST Bank is very simple. It's articulated in 3 words, if I may say so. Always you first, and that's about it. So that's really what our focus is, keeping customer at the center of everything that we do. See, at the heart of IDFC FIRST Bank, as I mentioned, there's a simple belief, which is customer centricity.
Sure.
And for us, customer is the only pole star around which all the decisions are taken in the bank. So in line with this philosophy, whether it is designing new products or ensuring ease of access to customers or giving the industry best interest rates, IDFC FIRST Bank is committed to its customer first approach.
While I appreciate the fact that you are saying, yes, you're very customer centric and, you are tailoring every part of your banking services to ensure that you're catering to the customer and that you're catering to the fact that, most customers are digital natives. All other banks are doing that as well. So what would be the differentiating factors that IDFC FIRST Bank would like to put forth vis-a-vis its rivals?
See, as I mentioned, there are a lot of differentiating factors. And as I mentioned, that people want something different and something extra from the bank. So apart from 7%, which is our proposition, but people are not going to come and stick just because of the interest rate. The moment the interest rates are down, people probably might shift to another bank. So what is it that we offer, which is different, which is our USP? As I mentioned, we are a customer-focused bank. Okay, and therefore the entire experience that we offer to the customer, whether it is which starts right from the opening of account, whether it is digital account opening, just by few clicks the account gets opened. So that's what is the new age banking all about. And apart from, as I mentioned, 7% that we are offering, there is a customer service angle. There is a great UI UX that we offer. There is the entire experience of not just digital, but when you even walk into our branches. If you have ever walked into any of our branches, they are very spacious. You have your own space. You can see the difference when you walk into some of the other banks. So this entire thing put together, the product proposition, the customer service, the UI UX, the experience that we bring to the table is what we feel is our USP compared to the other banks.
I believe that this whole League of Seven campaign is extremely important to you, and this is a critical communication piece that you are looking at in terms of communicating with your core TG and, of course, potential customers. What is the philosophy of the League of Seven? What does it mean, and what are you hoping to achieve via this campaign?
As customers, we always want something extra, and irrespective of which stage and which strata of society we belong, the moment we get something extra, it's a delight. And building on this particular insight, we decided to launch this campaign. Of course, for the bank, apart from many USPs, as we are offering 7% interest rate, we thought of leveraging that for this campaign, and that is how the whole thought came in of this campaign called the League of Seven. And as you're aware, cricket is most popular in India, and we decided to associate with cricket in this particular campaign.
When you talk about let's say the last 6 months or so, where we've seen extreme disruption in all our lives, and you've seen people losing significant parts of their income, whether it's because of losing jobs or salary slashes, etc. What kind of consumer behavior have you noticed, within your bank and, of course, across the industry?
See, all of us know that what we have seen in the last 6 months is unprecedented, and therefore a lot of changes we've seen in terms of behavioral changes from a customer behavior perspective. Digital was important to all of us. All of us were using digital in some form or the other, but digital has become a very, very unique way of transacting, and probably the most preferred way of transacting and doing transactions with a bank. Whether it is, just to give you an example, even while opening an account, earlier we used to do KYC where physically somebody used to go and visit the customer and do the OSVs, which is what we call original, seen, and verified. But today everything is done digitally. So people are quite comfortable doing video calls. People are quite comfortable interacting and interfacing with the bank digitally. So I'm seeing that as a huge change in terms of customer behavior. And we want to align to this behavior, and all our offerings are all aligned to offer a great experience to our customers.
Fair enough. Going forward, how are you looking at, further taking this campaign idea that you are currently, going with, into larger legs and larger pillars? What's the idea going forward? We know that you're very aggressive in the current scheme of things, with cricket taking center stage now. But what happens post that?
We speak about key things, about maybe 7 players who are to be watched out for and stuff like that. So basically our focus is on interesting content to be delivered to customers or non-customers who otherwise will not have an access to this content. And apart from digital, we're also looking at traditional media. Like we have the cross promotion going on of this particular campaign on radio, specifically on Big FM, and it is being covered across all their centers. And that's how we're looking at reaching out to our audiences. So every time the match is there, either before the match or after the match, there's an interesting analysis that we put out, and we're already seeing huge traction on this particular campaign. It's been about a little over a week that we've launched this, and we see a huge uptake and good traction coming on.
Any serious trends you've noticed in the last 6 months in terms of media consumption? And how marketers invest their money across platforms? Have you seen any major shift, or it's pretty much the same as it was pre-COVID?
No, certainly there are significant changes that have happened in the way we consume media. I mean, digital has become the way of life, whether it is watching channels on OTT or whether it is watching on television. Print to that extent, I think is not picked up because of clearly the restrictions and non-availability of print as a medium. And therefore, with digital being the center stage, I'm seeing not just for us, but for many people, the spends have shifted largely towards digital, online, and television as a medium. Okay, and I'm seeing some unprecedented reach and viewership numbers on some of the television channels. Of course, news continue to be the most watched out programs, if I may say so. But apart from that, there are certain properties which are doing well, whether it is IPL, whether it is KBC, and the likes of these. So I'm seeing shift certainly to digital and television.
Fair enough. On that note, more power to you, and more power to customers feeling extremely, satisfied and empowered banking with you. Thank you so much for joining us, and this was truly a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Sonali. Thank you so much. Bye.
And with that, we're completely out of time. We hope you enjoyed the show. To take the time and drop us a line at brandequity@etnow.tv, or alternatively, you can log on to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/brandequity, and tell us what you thought of the show. You could also tweet to us at Brand Equity Live. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, be safe.